Have you ever been bored at home with nothing to do? Of course you have. We're in quarantine. But that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was figuring out how to end that boredom. So that's why today I'm going to teach you the basics of tennis. Tennis can be played throughout your life, and you can see kids as young as 3 or as old as 80 playing tennis. Tennis is easy to learn once you know the proper equipment and learn the proper techniques and scorekeeping to play the game. So the first thing you'll need for tennis is your equipment. So you'll need a tennis racket. Tennis rackets come in different sizes and weights for different level and ages of tennis players. Younger tennis players will have smaller, lighter tennis rackets so that it's easier for them to control. And older tennis players will have heavier, larger tennis rackets to fit their game. Different size rackets can also affect the power or control of the racket. The next thing you need is a tennis ball. Tennis balls start for younger players with lower compression tennis balls so that the balls don't bounce as high. And as you progress through the sport, you'll move to higher compression tennis balls that bounce just like the ones that pros would use. Finally, you'll need a tennis court like this. Tennis courts can be found all throughout your community, especially in Jasper, and almost always are free to use by the public. So now that you know what equipment you need, you're probably wondering how to play tennis. So for tennis, there are 3 main types of swings. The first main swing are the ground strokes. There are 2 types of ground strokes. The first ground stroke is played whenever the ball has bounced first and is going to your right side. It is called a forehand. You'll stick your racket here at your waist, put your arm out, pointing at the ball, step forward with your left foot, begin to swing out, making a muscle with your left arm and bringing your elbow to your nose. The next ground stroke is whenever the ball has bounced and is coming to your left side. This is called a backhand. Backhand has 2 hands, unlike the forehand with 1 hand, but is used stepping forward with your right foot, beginning your swing outward, making a muscle with your right arm, and bringing your elbow to your nose. The next type of swing in tennis is the volley. Just like ground strokes, there's a forehand and a backhand volley. For a forehand volley, you will step forward with your left foot and bring your racket out like you're giving the tennis ball a high five, like this. And for a backhand volley, you could hit with 1 hand, like this, stepping forward with your right foot and high-fiving the ball, or with 2 hands, doing the same thing. The third type of swing in tennis is the serve. The serve is used to start a point and will be hit from the baseline here to the service box here on the opposite side of the court, hitting it diagonally. So when you serve, normally you would stand up, but I'm going to get on my knees because the ceiling's low. You would jump, toss the ball up, jump up for the ball, swing over your head, coming down and catching your racket across your body. So now that you know the techniques for tennis, you're probably wondering, how do I keep score? So keeping score for tennis might sound complicated at first, but it really is simple once you get to learn. So when a tennis match starts, both players have 0 points. But in tennis, it's not called 0. It's called love. Love takes the place of 0. So if you have 1 point and the other player has 0, you would be winning 1 to love. So once you've played a point, though, and a point is started by hitting a serve, and then playing the point out, hitting ground strokes or volleys, cross court, back over the net, and until a player either hits the ball into the net or out of the court. Once this happens, a player is awarded a point, but it's also not just a point. It's called 15. So 1 point is 15, and then you keep playing. And if you win 2 points, you have 30. And if you win 3 points, 40. Now, if you win the 4th point before the other player gets 40, you've won the game. But if you have 40 and the other player has 40, You go to a series of 2 points in a row called deuce, which is played over and over again until one player has won both points of the same deuce. Once a player has won the game, they will switch whoever is serving and play these back and forth until one player has won 6 games in a win by 2. Now, if both players tie at 6, you play what is called a tiebreaker. A tiebreaker is a 1st to 7 series of points where the first player serves the first point, and then the second player will serve the next 2, switching back and forth, serving 2 points at a time until a player has won 7 points. Once a player has won 7 points, they are awarded the game, the tiebreak, and therefore the set. Now, most matches are best of 3 sets, so you have to win 2 sets before you win the match. If you split sets, you will just play a third set, or sometimes play a 10-point tiebreaker, which is the same as a 7-point tiebreaker, except you go to 10. So now that you know the basics of tennis, it's up to you to use them. Sitting at home bored during quarantine, you're probably looking for an activity outside that you can do while social distancing. And that's tennis because you don't have to be near people. So it's up to you to take advantage of it. But I hope that in the coming days when you're bored, doing nothing, sitting at home, you'll give tennis a try.